Thank you for joining me today on the Who God Says podcast. My name is Tyshaundra. I am your host and Kingdom Ambassador. Hi, hi, hi.
Hi,
Today
hi,
we have a
hi.
special guest. Yes, Miss Patty is here. She is a financial coach, real estate broker. She's also a published author. My gosh, she has so many accolades. It was crazy going through your Bible. Miss Patty Handy, everyone. Yay!
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here. It's great to be here.
Oh my gosh. I have been anticipating this. Okay. So
Good. I'm excited.
I am excited. I try to dial it back a little bit so people can understand the words that are coming out. So we're going we're going to see how
I'm
that.
sure they get the gist of it, right?
Yeah, see, they get it. They know me by now. They know. Oh my gosh. So you're a financial coach, right?
Yes.
How did you
Yes.
go from a financial advisor in your career to a certified executive coach and a financial coach and a life coach?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So I actually got certified as a life coach many years ago, and a certified executive coach many years ago, while I was in both the mortgage industry for many years, and then I went to be a financial advisor, and then I transitioned to being a financial coach. And that journey took me. I mean, that was a like 20-year journey between the two roles.
Oh,
And in that time, I was able to chat with many lovely clients and prospects. And those that were women that came to me primarily divorced, widowed, or single. Sometimes they were married, but they were um, very similar stories came across the conversation. And that was when it came to money, they were very overwhelmed. They were embarrassed. They didn't understand more.
yeah.
Their husbands took care of the finances, so they didn't really feel the need to really understand it. They never really wanted to understand it. So there was embarrassment. There was just frustration, a lot of fear around it. And this came up over and over and over again. I thought, you know what? I really want to make a bigger impact with this situation. I want to become more of a coach and teacher, so that they can become more empowered to feel more financially confident. So I actually left my firm last year as a financial advisor. Some say I was nuts, because it was, the nice salary and the benefits and medical coverage and all that stuff. I left that safe place, so to speak,
Yeah.
and went out on my own and decided that I wanted to reach women and help them just, like I said, feel more confident, gain that peace of mind. And if they end up using a financial advisor, fantastic. They'll know the questions to ask. They'll understand what the advisor is talking about when they start to bring up, various products or how to manage the funds or whatever. Or they can learn to do it themselves.
Right.
So I'm a teacher at heart, and I really want to be that person that helps them gain that independence.
That's awesome. I mean, that had to be a hard transition, just leaving that safety net of, hey, I got this salary that I know is going to be there. As long as I go to work, I get my salary. I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
health care and all of that. Um, like, what are the main things that you struggled with when you were making that transition or that final decision to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and let the job go?
Yeah, it wasn't a very, quick and knee jerk reaction. It was well thought out, in that I was having these conversations, and I had my heartstrings being pulled. And it kind of came down to really looking back. I thought, I'm going to have more regret if I look back on my life and I did not do this,
Right.
and wonder, gosh, what would have happened if I did do that? How much more of an impact would I have made in the world versus, staying at that job, um, and being that comfort thing. And then
Yeah.
I'd look at, well, okay, what's the regret if I tried it and it didn't work? Let's just say I tried this for a couple of years and it just doesn't take off. That regret is far less than the regret of doing what I've done, because it is a act of faith. It's an act of going out and doing what I believe to be my purpose and how I can make a bigger impact. And so if it doesn't work, okay, fine, I tried. But if it does, then wow, what a difference. So it really came down to, again, looking back on my life, on my deathbed, so to speak, and having that regret or lack of regret. And so that's why I chose to just make that leap, because I didn't want any regrets.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's a good way of looking at it. I know it could be scary for people getting into this entrepreneurial space, because everything is
Yeah.
on you. You have to find your clients, you have to market and advertise yourself, you have to create a system and a program. Like, everything is on you. Then, hey, if I don't get paid, how are the bills going to get paid? It's very scary. And when I started, I have a tax service. When I started that tax service, I was terrified, because I was like, okay, my plan is to keep my job and start the tax service so that I can have steady income coming in until the business is able to sustain itself. That didn't happen. Like, I lost my job before the tax service even opened. And I was like, oh
That was a cosmic boot.
my, right? And I'm like, you know what? The way the Lord wants it to happen is going to happen. So
Right.
I still opened the tax service. Like you said, I didn't want to live with that regret. There were too many things that I focused on and that was happening for me to say, you know what, no, I need to go find another job, and then I can wait until like next year or something and then try to do this again. It would have took a toll on me mentally. I would have been stressed out. Yeah, for me it would not have worked. So I get that. What is the regret that you're willing to live with, What is it?
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that we are guided, and things happen, doors close, doors open, based on the path and the purpose, that is
Yeah.
the I believe, God's journey, God's desire for us. And I also feel like if we just listen to that inner voice,
Hmm.
and follow that light, if you will, then that's you need to be able to listen to that. And you're right, entrepreneurship is scary. I mean, I still am scared. I mean, there is a lot, like you said, we're a one person job. I do have a virtual assistant that takes care of the technology stuff, but yeah, I'm the one going out and getting the business, having the appointments, doing the coaching, doing the social media posts, doing the videos. I have a YouTube channel, so I have, doing YouTube channel. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Right.
And it's hard to turn off. You don't, like, at 5 o'clock, turn off your brain, and go home, and it's like you're off. My home office is obviously my home, so it's hard for me to leave. It's like,
Right.
it's very, yeah. So this is my home office here, and it is. It's hard to, and you have to love what you're doing. You have to have a passion
Yes.
for your drive, and for your why. Otherwise, it won't be sustainable.
Oh no, it will drive you crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think a big thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, learning how to manage time. Time management
Mm.
is
Mm-hmm.
so important.
Mm-hmm.
So important, especially when you're a
100%.
parent. You're a parent as well, right? You're a divorced
I am a
mom.
parent. Yeah, I have a parent. I am a parent, but he's an adult now. He's on his, yeah, he's 27, so I
You
don't need
made it
to.
through. Yay!
I made it through. I think I made it through. I'm not sure. Some days I look at my mental health. I wonder if I did that.
Okay, so you made it through that part. You're not a
Yeah.
grandmammy yet, right? Not a grandma?
No, no. He got engaged last year. I'm
Oh,
very excited. So he's
congratulations.
yeah. I love her. She's amazing. So they're getting married at the end of 2025, because
Oh, oh my
she's
God, that
in
is so exciting.
yeah, she's in school still. So yeah, it's very exciting. So we've got a wedding coming up, and then I'm sure they'll have some time to themselves for a couple of years, and then we'll have babies coming. But yeah, the number one thing on my bucket list is being a grandma. I can't wait.
Oh, oh my gosh, I can. My oldest is 18, so I'm good with waiting. Let's wait.
Yeah. You have some time still, yes.
Let's wait. Okay, so you are a divorced mom. What are some of the struggles that you face emotionally, physically, and also financially when you were transitioning out of your marriage?
Yeah, boy, there was it was a rough ride. It was choppy. It was an e-ticket ride. For those of you who know Disneyland and the e-tickets.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it. was very difficult. My son was 18 months old at the time,
Mm.
and I had left. I was in corporate banking for many years prior to having my son, and we had been trying for 5 years to get pregnant, couldn't get pregnant. Finally, with in vitro, the blessing of in vitro, I got pregnant. And I thought, after all this, I do not want to put him in daycare. I want to be at home with him and raise him.
Oh,
So I left my corporate job. And then when he was 18 months, I was surprised with this divorce, and I needed to get back to work. I needed to find a way to make income, and I didn't want to go back to my corporate 9 to 5. And I landed in the mortgage industry, which was fantastic because it allowed me to work at home. I was flexible with my schedule,
yeah,
and it was a gift. It truly was a gift. And
yeah,
interestingly enough, I'm also re-engaging the mortgage business currently. So in addition to my financial coaching, I'm helping those people with getting back on the mortgage world. But it was an emotional. It was like two steps forward, 3 steps back, one step
yeah,
forward, 5 steps back. It just was not a linear, healthy, strong direction. It was just like some days were just the absolute worst. I was on the floor in a puddle of tears. Some days I felt super strong. I thought, oh, I can do this, and it was just this vibration of back and forth and back and forth. And I thought,
right.
am I ever going to feel better? Am I ever going to get through this and to the other side? And there were days where I just felt so hopeless, and I would just look at my son and said, "Oh yes, I'm going to make this happen. This is going to work, and my son's going to be, happy, and he's going to have a good family life." So, I was blessed and am blessed with, a wonderful family support system, wonderful friends. I leaned on them, so I do encourage those who are going through anything emotional: lean on your friends and family.
Yeah,
Don't try to do it on your own. My faith was a big part of it. Growing, just I talked a lot to God, and it was just yeah. I mean, it was very emotional. There's no question. Financially, it was tough. I got myself in trouble, and I was the person in the marriage that actually took care of the finances. My
mm,
husband didn't know anything about money, and so I did the investing and I did all the managing, the bill paying, and everything. So that wasn't the part that was the fear. It was the part of, okay, I have no money coming in, and I've got
yeah,
a lot of money going out. What am I going to do?
yeah,
And for a long time, it was going through savings and then racking up credit card debt. All the
yeah,
while, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so wrong. This is so wrong. The financial person in me was just like, oh my gosh, this is wrong. But I had no choice. I wanted to be at
right.
home with my son, and so it was this push me, pull you. So yes, I was affected financially, physically exhausted, emotionally distraught. I mean, it was a quite the show. But every day, I took little steps.
Yeah,
I continued to exercise. I continued to, eat well. I continued to pray. I continued to just do what I could to be the best mom that I could. And it was just baby steps, and some days I woke up and I thought, just get me past the next hour. Just the
yeah,
next hour. All I need to do is focus on the next hour. And that hour came up, and I'm like, okay, next hour, let's focus on that. And then over time, time healed, and I got stronger, and things started to shift. And it was a slow process, but it was one that I look back now, many many years later, and the strength that I gained, the resilience,
yeah,
who I've stepped into, I don't think would have happened in the marriage. So. Um, I always say that some of our most challenging experiences in life are our greatest opportunities for growth. And I
yes.
can certainly say that my divorce was one of them for sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I am so proud of you for making it through.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's hard. I'm divorced as well, but on my side of things, um ooh, it was a little bit emotional for me in the beginning, but I'm like one of those people I'm good at shutting things out. So, for a
Mm,
few months it was very emotional, but like you said, you looked at your son. I have 4 kids. At the time I had 2 kids, and it was like, okay, so somebody has to make this happen. And I guess
mm.
that somebody is me. So it's,
Yeah,
you
good for
know,
you.
it's you want to be sit in a space and say, "Hey, this is happening. I'm experiencing this." But then it's like I can't sit there for long because hey, there's some eyes looking up at me, What are they
Mm-hmm.
seeing? What am I teaching them? I have always had that
Mm-hmm.
mindset. What am I teaching my children? So at first, before I grew emotionally, and I'm emotionally healed now, at first, I just thought it all was weakness. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be weak. I'm not going to let this affect my kids. But in actuality, like you said, it was definitely an opportunity to grow. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but it was growth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. I mean, growth is not easy.
It's not. Mm-mm.
Hi everyone! Join the Kingdom Fanatics community. Get exclusive content, green room access with our guests, and more. Visit our website at whogodsays.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate your love and support. To find all information on joining our community, being a guest on the show, donating on our PayPal donation page, and more, visit us at whogodsays.com. Now back to the show.
It's not
Yeah.
at all.
And
Oh
when you're
my
in the middle
God.
of it and you feel like you're losing hope, it's just, you've got to just keep going. And, we had our kids to look at, and that was our why.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know what I would have done. It's like, ugh. And it's not that we didn't even have, I would call it not even a normal marriage. Like, I worked whenever I worked. I didn't work like a steady job. I would work um, different little gigs, so to say. And then he did the same. And so it was like there was no stability there. And so I'm like,
Mm.
after I got past the hurt and the betrayal and the pain part and went to the anger and the blaming, I went to
Mm-hmm.
all kind of other stuff. It was
Yeah.
like an eye opener. You should have never got married. You were not set up right. We didn't think about a lot of things. Um, as far as marriage, household, raising a family, finances, we that was the farthest thing from our minds. It was just like, hey, the next thing to do is get married. We have kids. So it was like,
Yeah.
let's get married. Hey. But I have grown. I have definitely grown.
Yeah. Good for you. And you have two more kids, you said? You have four total?
Yeah, I have four turtles. Yes. I have one boy. I was like, oh, I want a boy so bad. But yep, I have one boy and all three girls.
Three girls. Nice. Good
Yes.
for you.
Oh my God. Those
They are a
mirrors, as I
blessing.
call them. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Call them mirrors.
Yeah. There are, I would say they are our greatest strength and our weakest link.
Oh my God. Hmm. Right. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my God. And that little one, oh my God. I swear to God, she's 46 and not six. She's 46.
A wise soul, huh?
Oh my God. She is something else. She probably could sit here and have this podcast all on her own. She is
You should
amazing.
have her on one time. Bring her on as a guest.
I need to. That's a good idea. That's a good.
Yeah. Just have a bunch of
She's
questions
hilarious.
for her. Let her know ahead of time the questions and let her just go at it.
She's
I think it can
hilarious.
be really, really entertaining and it'd be cute for kids to listen to, right?
Yeah. She's hilarious too. That's a great idea. I'm gonna have to try that. That is a great idea. She is hilarious. She oh my God. She's so
Fun.
animated. That's look at Miss Patty. Come on, Miss Patty. Yeah.
I
Okay,
love
so
it.
you said that you racked up like credit card debt and went through savings and everything, and the financial person was in your head like, this is wrong, right? This is
Yeah.
totally wrong. Um,
Yeah.
when you were getting yourself back on track, like what are some of the baby steps you were taking as far as financial wise? What were some of the baby steps you were taking to get yourself back on track? Because I know a lot of people, um, we have an issue,
Mm.
especially with credit, and then trying to get ourselves back on track with that. Because I went through a spell with credit as well. But how did you go about it?
Yeah, gosh, that's something I think everybody has experienced at some point in their life. Getting into credit card debt and just figuring out a way out of it. It was slow. It was a slow process. As I built up my business in the mortgage business and the cash flow started to come, I slowly built up, my savings. And people often ask me as a coach, what do you do first? Pay off your debt or
Right.
save? And I always say you should have that 3 to 6 month cushion, that emergency fund savings set aside. That should be your focus first, and then pay off the credit card debt. I think that we all look at the credit card debt interest rates and go, oh my gosh, I'm paying 25%. I'm only
Right.
earning, less, far less than that in a savings account. But it's the importance of having that account there, to have in case something comes up. Let's say you have a medical issue come up, or big car repair. You don't want to put that on credit. You don't want to add more to your credit card debt. You want to be able to have that absorbed with your savings. So build out that 3 to 6 month of emergency fund, put it in a high yield savings account, not your regular savings account that earns you nothing. A high yield savings or a money market type of account that's today, as of this recording, it's somewhere in the I think it's like the low fives, high fours, low fives, which is fantastic. I think our savings accounts are 0.02 or something. So, but what I did is, like I said, it took time as I built up my cash flow, got myself going with my expenses. I built up the savings again, and then I just chipped away at the credit. I was really mindful of paying myself automatically every month, which meant that I would set up an automatic transfer from my checking account to an investment account and invested it in the market. So I had money that was growing with the markets. So I wanted to keep investing every single month. And I started off with $100 a month. I mean, to start off small. And then as cash got better and things got better, I would increase that so that I was paying myself and reinvesting in myself every month automatically. And the cool thing with that is that if you do it automatically, you don't need to think about it. You're paying your bills. You think, oh, well, I don't have enough money, left over to save. So the savings never happens. So if you set up yourself up automatically every month and pay yourself first, you'll always have the money at the end for the other stuff. It just works that way. So I know it's kind of crazy, but yes. And there's two ways as far as the actual strategies to paying down credit. There's two ways to do it. There's one is the snowball, and the other is the avalanche that you might be familiar with. One is looking at, first writing down all the credit cards that you have, the, total amounts outstanding, and the interest rate on that particular card. And you can look at this and go, okay, well, I've got, one card with, $300 balance, and it's the lowest interest rate, but it's also the lowest balance. Do I pay off that first, or do I pay off the higher interest rate credit card first? Well, there's an emotional feeling and gratification when you pay off that credit card in full and you get rid of that one card. Now you're just down to, maybe two other cards. And then you take that minimum payment that you were making on that other smaller credit card and then putting it towards the next lowest balance. So you can do it that way, where you're paying the lowest balance first, so it feels good that you're making some progress.
Right.
Or you can look at it like, okay, I'm going to attack this from a pure numbers game and go, what's my highest interest rate? Which card has my highest interest rate? And attack that card first. I would also strongly recommend that you reach out to the credit card companies and let them know that I'm going through a divorce. I'm kind of challenged with this. Can we lower my interest rate? Can you please lower my interest rate? I want to make good on this. I'm working really hard to pay these things off. And oftentimes, if you get potentially a supervisor, and they will lower that interest rate. And it's going to depend on your credit score. But it's worth the call. If they say no, fine. At least you tried, right? So some of those things are some ways to kind of chip away at that credit. And then just give yourself grace as you're navigating that, because it's a tough road. And then as you obviously paying down this card, do everything you can in your power not to use the cards. Be very, very mindful of your spending. Watch what's going out, and just know that this is a temporary thing. It isn't like forever. You've got to count every penny, because that's just not a life that we can sustain. Right. But just be mindful of where your money is going as you navigate this, rough waters, if you will.
Yeah. It's hard to, once you get into credit card debt, it's hard to chip away out of it, and then, like you said, not use the card. That is, I have found, has been one of the hardest things for people to not do, because they're like, oh, well, I made such and such payment, so I have a little bit here, and then something come up, and they're like, oh, well, let me just use the card, and I'll try to put it back. but you're just digging yourself in a bigger hole when you
Right.
do that.
Right.
Oh,
Right. And it's so easy now with our, laptops and our cell phones saving our credit information. And then
yes,
so you can just push a button and you buy something and everything is stored and boom, you just have the sale. And then you get the credit card bill and you're like, oh, when did I do that? How did that happen? And there's a lot of emotional spending.
right.
I know that and we all do it, whether we're bored, whether we're sad, where we're dealing with trauma, whatever the emotions are, oftentimes a dopamine hit of going to the mall and buying something that makes us feel good in that moment feels good, right?
Right.
Or having a delivery, having an Amazon truck pull up to your house and you get a little goodie at your door. It's like, ooh, goodie, a little package. It's a hit, and it's fun. I mean, we all enjoy that. I do too. But when you're in this stage, when you're trying to get out of credit card debt and you're navigating getting back on track financially, you've got to be super aware and super mindful of what you're doing,
Right.
and just know that this is not your life forever. Like I said earlier, it's not, you don't have to live like this forever. It's just getting yourself out of this situation right now, and just think of the long-term gratification, and
Yeah.
look forward to that time when you are out and life frees up a bit for you.
Yeah. Oh my God. You made me think about something when you said the Amazon truck. I got into credit card debt when I opened my tax office because I was like, okay, I need as much cash on hand as possible. So whatever I need to purchase, if I can do it with credit, I'm gonna do it with a credit card. So that's how I got into my credit card debt. And I was like,
Mm,
I'm doing everything with a credit card. I need to keep as much cash flowing as I can. I need to pay tax preparers. I need whatever it is that I need to do with cash. I need to make sure I have as much on hand as possible. So that was my mindset for that. I would say now, um, I would change it because I wouldn't have wanted to actually be in the debt that I was in and then have to deal with chipping away at it, the way I had to. But when I got into the debt and I started really getting heavy on Amazon, I was like, oh, I can get everything from Amazon. It got so bad to where I used to hide the packages in my trunk. I was in a relationship and I used to hide the packages in my
oh,
trunk.
that's okay. That's dangerous.
Yes, I'm like, I would hide in my trunk and sneak them in the closet. And then if there is some type of event that we would go to, you would see, oh, I got something. It'll be something. And he would say, oh, well, when did you get that? I'm like, oh, I just pulled it out the back of the closet.
Ah,
It was true. I did pull it out the back of the closet, but hey.
oh dear. Oh dear. That's funny. That's
Yes, but it was killing me. It's funny now, but it was killing me. It was
mm,
very, oh my God.
yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
took
You
even
knew
longer.
better. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And speaking of putting business stuff on credit cards, I know a lot of people track their business expenses through one credit card, and I do that as well. I'll put all my
Mhm.
business expenses on one card and use a separate one for personal, which we should obviously do as business owners. But
Mhm.
um, there are those that also use credit for points,
Yep.
and I know people who have taken trips to Europe all paid for.
Right.
Plane, hotel, the whole 9 yards by way of points. And so that's fantastic. And it can be dangerous if you're not really on it. But if you're on it,
Yeah.
it could be very, very helpful. But, if you're one of those that use points, make sure you pay that card off in full every month. If you're able to
Right.
pay it off in full every month, that's fantastic. That's what the focus is. But if you're racking up points to travel and do all that, but you're not paying off the card in full and you're carrying a balance and you're paying interest, that that vacation costs you a lot more than it would have
Right.
cost you if you just paid for it directly. So um, I'm not saying never use credit because I use credit all the time,
Mhm.
but I pay it in full every month, and I
Yep.
don't put anything on the card that I know I can't. So, um, and we all go through times in our lives where the cash flow is tight and you got to carry a balance, and I get that. I mean, life happens,
Right.
but as long as you're mindful and you're on it, and you're just again aware of what you're spending on, making sure it's not an emotional spending, not a
Mhm.
dopamine hit, not a I'm sad, this is frustrating, I'm going to go to the mall and buy me a new pair of shoes. That kind of thing can get you in trouble. Um, and it's important to just, again, be aware of that.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the most common mistakes that women make when it comes to managing their money?
I think from what I've seen, it kind of runs the gambit. I've seen some
The
gals
emotional
just,
spending.
I'm sorry.
The emotional spending.
Yeah, the emotional spending
Mhm.
is one of it, and we're all guilty, myself
Yep.
included.
Yep.
There's nobody that hasn't had that kind of issue, but it's also being so afraid of, or intimidated, or fearful of the investing aspect that they don't do any investing. They don't do anything. It's like, oh, the stock market, I don't understand that. I don't understand funds. I don't even want to do that, and that can cost you in the long run.
Yes.
Keeping money in your high yield savings account and not putting your money to work for you in the market is actually costing you money, because if inflation is, 3, 4, 5, last year or so is up to 8%, and you're earning 1%, well, you're actually losing money to
Losing
inflation.
money. Hmm.
Yeah. So try to learn, educate, work with a coach, work with an advisor, work with, whoever, there's tons of books out there, lots of good stuff online. There's a lot of bad stuff online too. So be careful who you listen to and
Right.
watch. Um, but start to learn about investing, because it really is, the mechanics of money is not that difficult. Understanding, funds, and understanding what type of funds, index funds versus a mutual fund versus an
Mhm.
ETF, which one makes sense. Um, how much should I put where? How should I diversify? All that stuff that's made to sound very, oh, that's just so scary. It's
Right.
not. It's if you really understand the basics, and that's kind of what I do. It's like I teach, here's the basics. It's really quite simple. And once you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's it? Really? That's all? Um, it's not this big, hairy, scary thing in the sky, right?
Right.
So there are those that just are paralysis by analysis. I actually had, when I was in the financial services industry, I had a prospect come in who had about $500,000 sitting in her savings account because she was too afraid to invest it. And she had it sitting there for quite a while. And that was just costing her oodles of money. And she wasn't
Ah,
using it. She didn't need the money. She was gainfully employed and she didn't need that money at all. She just, and she was young enough to put it in the market and let it, take its course. The only time I should paraphrase this, or not paraphrase this, but clarify, money in the market should be money that you don't plan on using for many, many years,
yeah.
really 7 years or more. If you need money in the next couple of years, short term, it should not be in the stock market. The market's
Right.
volatile. The last thing you want, is to put your down payment for your house. You want to, buy in 2 years, put that into the market, and then when you go to buy your house, that money is now worth 20% less because the market, is correcting or something. So that money should be in either a money market account or a bond fund. Those that are a little more stable. But yes, so if you're investing in the market, that's long-term money.
Hmm.
But the point is that, it's important to learn and get educated, which will help with that financial confidence and, put you in that direction of financial independence. So back to your question, it's getting educated, taking those steps, doing the uncomfortable, and just doing it. Don't just think it's going to figure, you'll
Yeah.
figure it out someday, because someday is now.
Some days now. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. When you are talking to women and you're telling them, um, I know each situation is different, but if you could kind of average it out, would it be like the top three things that women could focus on when it comes to their money? Like the first three things that you want to focus on.
Yeah. So the first and foremost is you've got to really get a good handle on where you are today. So by
Mhm.
that, I mean where you are today with cash flow and net worth. So cash flow is what's coming in, whether
Mhm.
that's from a job, Social Security, pension, um, part-time job, a side gig, your own business, whatever it is, what's coming in versus what's going out. Are you positive or are you negative every month? That's going to require you to take a look at your expenses, what you spend your money on, and perhaps go back a few months and look at, where all the money had gone in the past, so
Mhm.
that you have a really good understanding of, okay, gosh, going through this, I just realized I spent $500 on fast food last month. That's
Yep.
crazy, right? So you've got to look back a little bit. I use a little kind of a quick method where I will say, go back 3 months, pull your savings account statement out. Your checking account statement, sorry, which shows all of your debit card transactions and anything that you bill pay through your online, and then pull your credit card statements out, and then highlight each category. So all fast food, highlight in yellow. All groceries, which is different than fast food, highlight in blue. Utilities is one color, and insurance is another color, whatever. So you can look at this really easily and go, oh wow, there's a lot of yellow on these 2 pages here. That's a lot of fast food. Right. And if I tally it up, that's more than I had realized. So it's just creating that awareness. So understand where you are today from a cash flow perspective. And by net worth, I'm talking about what are your assets minus your liabilities. So if you own a home, the value of that home minus the mortgage on that home. The difference is your equity in the house, which is your part of your net worth. Your assets in terms of retirement accounts or brokerage accounts or checking, savings, anything of that nature. That's the asset side. So get a handle on what your net worth is, and just sitting and knowing those 2 things puts you in a place of, okay, now I get this. Now I know where I am today, and then determine where you want to go by when. If it's 5 years, I want to have X number of dollars in my retirement account, or I want to have this, credit card debt paid off, have these goals set up and have an end date so that you have a goal to work towards. So that's a lot of the first thing, understanding where you are today. The other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, is really spend some time and get yourself educated and comfortable with investing. Understand the market, understand just your options, whether it's working with a coach, again, going online. If you go to Fidelity.com, Vanguard.com, Schwab.com, some of these large investment management companies, they have a lot of things online for free. There's a lot of good information on there that you can read, and it's all at your fingertips. And then I would say, if you're going to reach out for help with someone, get a referral from someone that you trust, whether it's a financial coach, financial advisor, a CPA, an attorney, anything of that nature. I'm a big proponent of a living trust and an estate plan. So if you have kids especially, I think that's super important to get done. And have your health directives all taken care of, and all of that stuff, which creates peace of mind. So reach out to those experts in the fields that you need help with, and ask them questions. Ask if you can sit with them for an hour and have a list of questions that you have, and just pick their brain. And most will do that for you. Especially if you have a relationship with them, they'll help you with that for no cost.
Yeah. That's definitely helpful.
A lot of information there. I kind of just blew a lot out there.
So knowing where you are now, getting informed on
getting comfortable with
savings,
money,
investing in money, and then getting guidance as to what your steps could be.
Talk to the experts and have a plan. Put a plan in place to whether it's, again, saving, paying down debt, whatever that is.
Yeah. Okay. And if I wanted to start investing, let's say, no one is rich and they want to start investing. So let's say, what's the average household income? Like 50, 60, 80,000?
I don't know across the nation. I'm not sure what that number is. It's so different from state to state.
Something for the average.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 70-ish, but it's been a while since I've kind of looked at that number.
Long time for me too. and when you were talking about the spending, oh my God, one of the main things that I always saw with my clients was Starbucks. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you just go to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you just go to the grocery store? It'll help you save some money. Go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Make you a
cold
brew
you
at
can
home.
buy Starbucks. You can buy Starbucks that you can buy that at the market.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm sorry. But that was one of the I was mind blown when I kept seeing it. And it was just all type of people. They had Starbucks, one of the number one charges I see on bank statements are Starbucks. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. A lot of fast food, a lot of quick, and I'm in a hurry. I need to get my food, whether it's Starbucks or a burger someplace.
Yep. It
And I
was
get that
always,
sometimes, we have those days where we've got to do that. But if it's a habitual everyday thing, that's a very expensive habit.
it is very
Yeah.
expensive. People don't know how expensive. I usually tell, um, I kind of give them the analogy. It's like buying a pack of cigarettes every day. So you're killing yourself slowly.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. It's immediate gratification versus delayed gratification.
Yep. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, so if I wanted to start investing, let's just say I just make about $70,000 a year, and I'm now getting into the mindset of, hey, let me try to save. My job has a retirement account set up for me. That's how mostly how the average person is. Their job might have a retirement account set up. Um, they might have health insurance through their job. So they're not really conscious of making those decisions themselves. So, what would you say would be the best way to get involved in investment? Should I just jump in or dip my toe in? Like, is it anything in particular? Say, hey, go to Edward Jones or one of them and try to look at the stocks, or just go straight into getting a financial advisor?
Well, a lot of financial advisors have um, a minimum requirement to invest. So if you're just
Hmm.
starting out and you don't have any money, it'll be hard to have a financial advisor work with you. I'm sure there are those out there that will. I don't know what Edward Jones's policies are,
Hmm.
but I always suggest that as you're dipping your toe in the water, and that's what I would recommend. I would not just jump in. First, get the knowledge. Do the reading, do the research, get educated, get an understanding, and then determine, this money that you have, when am I going to need it? If it's
Yeah.
money that I'm not going to touch for many, many years, then yes, let's put it in the market. If it's money that I'm saving for a down payment on a house, as I mentioned earlier, no, that should not be in the market, especially if it's going to be purchased in the next, 3 to 5 years. Um, if you've got enough money that you're maxing out your 401k at work, and that's going nicely, you've got a nice company match, that's even better. And then you are able to have some extra cash to put into like a brokerage account. I would go, to like a Fidelity, a Vanguard, a Schwab.
Hmm.
Those are all, generally free to use, unless you hire one of their advisors. And go with an index fund. An index fund is a passively managed fund. They're investing in indexes, so the expense ratios are very low. You're very diversified. If you invest in for example, if I'll just use example, the S&P 500 index, you're invested in 500 stocks, so you don't
Right.
necessarily need to worry about picking individual stocks. I would not recommend individual stocks if you're just starting out.
Yeah.
You do an index fund, you are diversified. It's super important to be diversified. So whether you're diversifying in the S&P 500 or you have a certain sector that you like, if you like healthcare or technology or energy or whatever it is that you like, just make sure you are diversified among those various sectors. But there's lots of funds that, there's total market index. There's hundreds of funds. So go on to the site that you like. Again, choose one of those, and then look at the index funds. Explore the performance. You can look at the performance on each fund over the last 10 years, and then look at the expense ratios so that they're super low as an index fund. The
Mhm.
lower the expense ratio, that means the more money that you keep in your pocket. An index fund is usually less expense ratio than a traditional mutual fund. So just compare that. Spend some time, block out an hour of your day and jump on one of these sites and just to start, doing your research. A lot of that I do with my clients. We'll jump on and I'll kind of walk them through how to do this. And it's super helpful because it gives you that power and that confidence to be able to look at a fund and go, okay, I get this. This is good. I can invest in this. And you throw whatever dollar amount that you can, that's comfortable. Again, long-term money. I'm going to keep saying that.
Yeah.
But that's how you get started. And then set up that automatic investing plan, like I mentioned earlier. Transfer $50 a month if you want, or $100 a month, whatever it is, automatically into this new fund that you just opened, and let it keep growing.
Right. So when you think about investing, is it always like your first thought, or eventually you want to end up investing in the market, would you say real estate or businesses or anything like that would be a place where someone would want to start investing?
I um, I look at our financial house, our financial strength, as a three-pronged bar stool.
Okay.
One is the market, the
Mhm.
financial stock market. The other is real estate, and the third is owning your own business.
Okay.
Those three things hold up this bar stool. So I love real estate. I think real estate's a great diversifier. I think over the again, it's a long term thing. There
Yeah.
are those that flip houses, and that's a whole nother ball game.
Right.
But real estate, holding it, whether you want to own your own home, whether you want to have rental properties, whatever, I think it's a great diversifier along with the market. I don't think you should be 100% in the market with everything you own,
Right.
or in just real estate. I like having that diversification. If you love the idea of real estate, but you don't want to own a physical home to rent out, you don't want to be a landlord, you don't want to be dealing with tenants and all that madness. There are what's called REITs. It's a real estate investment trust, REIT,
Hmm.
that are mutual funds that invest in real estate. So they go out and they purchase commercial industrial properties and different companies. And so you can, tap into real estate indirectly, so to speak,
Yes.
which is nice to have in your portfolio as well.
Hmm.
But some people love the idea of owning a physical property, a fourplex or a commercial building or whatever. And I do think having your own company, having your own, whether it's a side hustle or whether it's a full blown company that you're working full time, that's awesome as well. I think investing in ourselves is one of the best investments that we can make. I have hired many coaches over the course of my career, and there's probably one or two that I probably shouldn't have, but I think for the most part, coaches are a great investment
Yeah.
because they know things that you don't, and they can shortcut your learning curve and save
Hmm.
you oodles of time, and probably lots of money. So invest in yourself.
Right.
So yeah, it isn't just like, oh no, be in the market 100%, put everything in the market. No, you've gotta have that diversification for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think real estate is my next endeavor. I have always wanted to get into real estate. Not sure what direction I want to take yet. My pastor does real estate investing, and he does so many different things. He does wholesaling. He has homes that he
Mm,
flipped. He has commercial property. So it's like I don't know which way I want to go into it, but I thank God that I have a resource, you know.
yeah,
And like you said, getting that knowledge and that coaching. He doesn't consider himself a coach, but he will be my coach.
that's awesome. If you have somebody that you trust and
Yeah.
that's done, that's gone before you, gosh, that is huge. Just make sure that you. I mean, it's wonderful you have that relationship, and that's fabulous. But make sure you understand what you're getting into
Oh
and
yes.
investing in. And yeah, so yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can invest. Through syndications, through
Mhm.
actually buying a single family home by yourself and renting that out, turning it to an Airbnb. I mean, there's oodles of ways
Right.
to
Yes.
in real estate to make money, and there's pros and cons to it all. It just really depends on your personality and what you wanna do.
Yeah. Yep. That would be like my next thing. I want to make sure I get into real estate. And I
Good
also
for
want
you.
to have I wanted to have a portfolio of properties that I would keep for people that are transitioning out of foster care. That is something that's near and dear
Oh,
to my heart.
nice.
So I
Very
really want to
nice.
get into that. Yep.
That's
Miss
huge.
Patty,
Good for you.
I want to ask you, what do you believe is your ultimate purpose?
My ultimate purpose. Oh gosh, there's so much coming to my mind. Um, I wasn't ready for this question. I think, at the end of the day, I really just want to make a positive impact and make a
Yeah.
difference in people's lives. I know it sounds so cliche, but it really is. I mean, I find joy. That's kind of why I left that cushy job and went out on my own. I really find joy in making a positive difference in people's lives, and knowing that I've impacted
Yep.
somebody for the better is a beautiful thing. Like I mentioned earlier, the last thing I want on my deathbed is to have regrets. And I want to look back and go, you know what? The world was a better place because I was here. And that's a good feeling.
Yep. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. Yep. You want to make an impact. I do. I believe everybody makes an impact, but how do you impact is significant, And
Yeah.
I like that. I really like
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Miss
And everybody,
Patty.
you know what? Everybody has a skill. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a gift
Yep.
that they can make an impact. It doesn't necessarily need to be some big, oh, I don't have that education, or I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
People are making impact doing all kinds of things. There's everybody has a way to make an impact.
Yes, definitely. And then,
Yeah.
like we always say, the Bible says that God qualifies, because I have done things that I know I wasn't qualified for.
Mm.
It's just, I know the podcast is one, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't
You're
know.
doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's like, no, I know without a doubt, whatever it is that I get into, I know God has his hand on it, because half of the time it's like I'm thrown into it and I have to learn on the go, which I
Mm-hmm.
always have someone there to help me. So I am so grateful that everything that I have been put into, and I say put into because a lot of times I don't volunteer for them.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? That's fantastic, because many people wait for everything to be perfectly perfect before they take that leap or they make that move. And nothing is ever perfectly perfect,
Never
right? There's
perfect.
never a perfect time to make that switch. So yeah, it is that leap of faith, and it's, you got to prepare yourself. You can't be reckless about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you need to listen to that inner voice for sure.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Well, Miss Patty, I want to thank you for coming in. Can you let the audience know where
Thank
they
you.
can get in touch with you and connect with you?
Of course. So my website is just my name. It's pattyhandy.com, PattiHandy.com. There is a free download. It's a ebook. It's a women soaring solo ebook that I wrote. And then there's a training that you can watch after that, all complimentary. And if you want to make a connection with me, on my contact page is my calendar. I do offer a complimentary 30-minute discovery call. So feel free to book a call on there with me, and we can meet one-on-one.
Awesome. I'll have all the links in the description underneath the video, and also your social media handles as well, so they can follow you on social media. Ooh,
Perfect.
I am so grateful that you came by and shared your expertise and your gift and all of your knowledge. Thank you so much, Miss Patty. Thank you for being here
Thank you,
today.
Tyshaundra. I appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yay. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Who God Says podcast with your host and Kingdom Ambassador, Tyshaundra. Go to whogodsays.com to join the mailing list for episode premieres, upcoming guests, and more. Send in your questions to be a part of the show at whogodsays@gmail.com. And don't forget, join the Kingdom Fanatic community. Until next time, be blessed and also be a blessing.